Hey guys, here to chat a little bit Ravens Chargers for Sunday's early game. Should be a good one. Should be a good one. They're gonna cap off the Saturday night games and bring in the early afternoon Sunday game with the Ravens and Chargers. Quick notes on the line. Line open 2.5 in favor of the Ravens. Total of 42. As it sits now, Ravens -3. Total 41.5. This is going to be my favorite bet of the weekend. I'll go into my explanation and for why this is the case. So a little bit on the Ravens. Since Lamar Jackson took over, the coveted rookie from Louisville, they're 6-1. And you're hearing a lot about how they've only lost one game. They started 4-5 with Flacco, switched over to Lamar. I do believe there was a little more strategy to that, though. If you look at who Lamar Jackson and the Ravens have beaten in this little 7-game stretch where they've gone 6-1. They've beaten the Bengals, the Raiders, the Falcons, the Bucks, the Chargers, which was on a Saturday night. Just pointing that out, and the Browns, which they almost lost to the Browns, which would have made them not make the playoffs. Their lone loss was to the Chiefs in a game you could argue they should have won. Meanwhile, that miraculous defense I keep hearing all about ultimately blew that game for them late against the arm of Pat Mahomes. Flip over to the other side. The Chargers were a tiebreaker away from being the 1 seed. Meanwhile, they have the same record as the Chiefs, but they have to travel to Baltimore to play in this game. So if you don't think they're going to be a little perturbed or angry coming into this game, I believe you're going to get a fierce bunch from them. Definitely going to be a chip on their shoulder. They literally could have hosted the entire AFC playoffs, but instead we'll have to travel every game this season, despite having the second best record in the AFC. Chargers have lost one of their last 6, and that was against, you guessed it, the Ravens. They've also only lost twice since the middle of September. It's actually good for 13-2 over their last 15. Look, pound for pound, the Chargers have the best roster in the NFL. I think everybody's got it in their head that the Ravens beat them a few weeks ago. But for me, I look at that as a strength. First of all, the game was on a Saturday night. I feel like some of those games, whether it's Saturdays, Mondays, those games over the course of a season can be, anomalies, to say the least. It was a must-win game for the Ravens at the time. I just felt like it looked like you got like a low-energy Chargers team. I know Rivers had arguably his worst game of the year. Melvin Gordon had his worst game of the year. Now, granted, I'm not giving enough credit to the Baltimore defense. Baltimore defense is really good. But the issue I have is that, look, a defense could be really good in the playoffs. It's just that this new era of football for the last 3 to 4 years is strictly offense based. The Ravens scare me a bit. Like, if you create a scenario where the Ravens go down 2 touchdowns, let's just say hypothetically a fumble or a kick return for the Chargers, or Chargers get the ball, march in the field, score, and then Lamar Jackson throws a pick, something where they go down 14-0. Are you confident that Lamar Jackson can bring them out of that hole and they could win? So ultimately, grade that as a loss. Okay, so if the Chargers start off quick, that's a loss for the Ravens. If the Ravens start off quick, like let's say the Ravens somehow maneuver the ball down the field twice and they go down 14-0, are you basically riding off the fact that the Chargers can't win the game? I'm not. This is a big year for Phillip Rivers. You could argue this might be his last chance. Even though he's got still some young talented weapons. Gordon's young. Keenan Allen's young. Obviously, Mike Williams has been an upcoming receiver for them from Clemson. But my thing is that this game, being the fact they played 2 weeks ago, or whatever it was, 2.5 weeks ago, it leans a huge favor to the Chargers. I feel like the Chargers are going to really stack the box against this kid. They've got a ton of tape on him. They can look at his tendencies. And look, you got a rookie quarterback, a guy that's going to, maybe try to make the big play when he shouldn't, turn the ball over. It just to me, I like the fact that I'm getting the veteran quarterback and I'm getting 3 points. So that probably 100% gives it away. My favorite bet of this weekend is Chargers +3. I'm getting a field goal with arguably the best team in the AFC. Now, I get it. Again, Ravens really smacked them around a bit the first time they played. I look at that as more of an anomaly than actual, what will happen here. I do believe, the Ravens deserve to be here. Lamar Jackson's been playing great. This new offense that's been built for him It's almost like a triple option offense to a certain extent. RPO, big buzzword, big buzz acronym, I guess you keep hearing. Um, but the Chargers are a much better team. I mean, bottom line, okay, so maybe the Ravens have a little bit of an edge on the defensive side of the ball, but the Chargers are a much better offense. I have no fears at all if the Ravens go ahead, the Chargers will come back and make this a game. If the Chargers happen to start off quick, to me the game's over. Like there's no way, there's no scenario where Lamar Jackson's going to be throwing into tight pockets all game and bring his team out of a hole. But for me, Chargers are an awesome play here. You're not going to see this often where in the playoffs you get a number like you're getting here. I don't know. Like I said, I understand why the line was 2.5. What I don't understand is why it moved to 3. I don't understand who's looking at this game and saying, I love to lay a field goal with the Ravens. Again, look, small sample size, anything can happen, but I'm getting a team that, was a tiebreaker away from the 1 seed, and I'm getting 3 points with them against a rookie quarterback that can't throw. So to me, it's almost too easy. Again, I stress this every video, guys. I'm a numbers guy. I always want to get the best number. 3 is such a strong number. I'm not saying money line bet the Chargers. There could be some value there if the line is 3 to money line bet them. But for me, the big bet's I'm getting a full field goal. It's hard to imagine, the Chargers put up a complete dud here. Look, I'm sure Rivers is going to be plenty prepared for this game. I'm sure that defense is going to be plenty prepared. Without much else to say, without just continuing to harp on the same fact, Chargers +3 all day. Love that bet. Okay, so I will give you a few other prop bets because I know I like giving you guys a few side bets as well that I'll be making. For one thing, I will be betting Lamar Jackson over 163.5 passing yards. Okay, so now you guys are thinking, well, wait a minute. You want the chart? You think the Chargers are the best play, but now you're betting over Lamar Jackson's passing props. You're going to root for him to throw in a game where you're betting the Chargers. Well, I guess technically that's the case, but for me, again, it's a number. Betting a number. Okay, and if you're somebody who's watched this video and already bet the Ravens or just happens to think the Ravens are going to win, let me ask you this: do you envision a world where the Ravens win this game and Lamar Jackson doesn't throw for 163.5 yards? To me, first of all, he's done this over his last 2 games. Over his last 2 games, he's averaged over 190 yards a game. So clearly, the whole Ravens staff is starting to realize, hey, look, teams are starting to figure us out. I think now's the time where we evolve a lot of play action. You get Lamar Jackson thrown into gigantic windows, hitting his tight end over the middle. Crabtree's a big receiver, hit him on the outside. Maybe even take a deep shot at John Brown. Lamar Jackson hasn't been able to hit John Brown on one of those deep balls yet. If he does, guys, that's 70 yards. I mean, he's almost halfway to 160 if one of those happens to hit. Now, granted, obviously, it might be a long shot, whatever, but he's taking those shots a few times a game to John Brown. If he hits it, boom, he's halfway to 163, or about halfway to 163. For me, I get the whole running aspect of the Ravens, and historically over the last 8 or 9 games, they've been running. The yards they've been piling up has been awesome for them. I just feel like 163 is such a low number for a guy that they're really starting to throw the ball more. And look, this guy played at Louisville. I mean, he was in a passing offense. He can throw. Okay, I get it. His mechanics might be a little off, but ultimately, when you're running that type of offense they're running, where you're doing a play action, a fake sweep, Lamar Jackson's going to drop back, have a few seconds to throw a ball into a gigantic window to receivers. I mean, I could probably make some of the throws he's making he'll be able to make when he plays the Chargers. So I just think 163 is low. And I think there's a lot of scenarios where that goes over. I definitely think there's a lot of scenarios where that goes over and the Ravens lose. But if you're somebody who's betting the Ravens, I can't imagine they win the game and he doesn't throw for that. I mean, the idea that the Ravens, after playing the Chargers 2 weeks ago and they ran all over the Chargers, that 2 weeks later they're going to do the exact same thing and that's going to happen again in the same fashion. I don't think so. I think that the Chargers are going to be much more prepared to stop the run, not as prepared to stop the pass. They're just going to basically play the whole, look, we know what this team does well, run the ball. Let's keep 10, 11 guys close to the line of scrimmage. And look, if this kid beats us with his arm, he beats us with his arm, but he hasn't done it yet. So 163.5 is a low number, and I definitely think he goes over that, whether they win or lose, for sure. Okay, and the last bet I want to give you guys is the last score of the first half. I'm seeing as a field goal or a safety -128. I think that is an awesome bet. So you could, the other side of that as a touchdown, I think it was like plus 105 or plus, plus 110, something like that. But so here's my thinking there. Okay. First of all, last score of first half, with a 2-minute drill, will typically end with a field goal anyway. Okay. Why it matters here is the only way I think this loses, the only way, is if somehow, some way, there's a touchdown score with like 5 or 6 minutes left, and then the teams just kind of play a field position game before halftime and then can't move the ball. But with that said, I just feel like if the Ravens are driving the ball with 2 minutes left, they're gonna try to slowly move the ball, get into field goal range. Justin Tucker is the best kicker in football, so I'm confident he'll hit that. The Chargers kicker, 15 of his last 16, 15 to 16 field goals this year, is hitting a little over 90%. Definitely have a lot of faith if it comes out of the Chargers. And also, the Ravens have obviously the best if you argue them or the Bears, best defense in the NFL. I'd like to think that if the Chargers get down the field with 2 minutes, they're going to be happy and content to get a field goal instead of risking an interception or turnover. I just feel like that's a good number. Minus 128 with last score of the first half being a field goal is a strong bet, because like I said, the only way it happens is, like I said, touchdown gets scored, or somehow a team is driving 30 seconds left and they happen to throw a 20, 30-yard pass into the end zone as a jump ball and it's caught. But for the most part, there's a lot of value on that last score being a field goal, between Lamar Jackson's lack of true decision making as they get closer to the red zone, especially late in the first half, and Phillip Rivers against that top defense. I think they're going to be very content to settle for a field goal. Really like that bet. Okay, guys, so just to recap, love the Chargers +3. It's my favorite bet of the entire weekend. I know I gave you a few bets for Saturday already. I like Lamar Jackson's passing yard prop over 163.5. You get that at minus 108, at least what I'm seeing. And the last score of the first half to be a field goal or a safety at minus 128. Went through the details on why I like that. Okay, guys, so I want to thank you guys for taking time to watch the video. If you're not already, please subscribe to the channel. Definitely giving you guys a lot of quality videos, a lot of good content, and a lot of winners. Look, again, thanks again, guys. Good luck however you bet this game. Obviously, you see how I'm betting it, but if you already bet the game, good luck, and I'll give you a video on the Eagles Bears as well. All right, thanks, guys.